Hello, audience. Today I'm going to give a speech about, hopefully good advice about getting on with your life. Not used to giving speeches, so therefore if I seem a little bit off target, here and there, please forgive me. I will try and get the points across, but if I'm off point a little bit, maybe that's because I'm not used to giving speeches. So please forgive me. But today the subject that I'm going to talk about, getting on with your life, has a whole range of meanings to it. And getting on with your life is, a very broad topic. In fact, you could even write a book about it, about that thick. And as a result, I won't be able to, tell you everything you need to know to get on with your life, but I do hope to, touch on the most, important roles and kind of apply my experiences to assist you and, getting on with your life, to the best of my ability and the best of my knowledge. Today is September the 19th, and on December 21st 2015 I'm gonna be 40. Yes. And let's see here, September. And around 3 months from now, I'm going to be 40, the big 40. And I do have to say, one great feeling about getting, on this far is getting on with my life. I've learned to get on with my life. And all of you in the audience, you need to learn to get on with your life as well. So let's get right down to it. Okay, to get to the nitty gritty here, first thing you gotta prioritize is from square one is making sure you have a job. It may be bagging groceries at Ingles. It may be, a receptionist at the, a hospital desk. But at least it's a job. And you gotta give your jobs 100%. You gotta do the best you can with all the requirements of your job. Do the best you can. Give your job 100% with all the requirements, because it's important that you should fulfill all the steps in order to be able to keep your job. Can't stress how important having a job is, because without a job you will not have a source of money, and without money you will be unable to get on with your life. So you may have a job that you don't like. You're bagging groceries at Ingles for minimum wage. and it's a boring ass day all the time with, you know, you're sick of bagging groceries all the time. Or you're maybe out there digging ditches. And you know, after a while you're like, oh, that shit is boring. I need me a new job. Well, if you think you need you a new job, I mean, that's okay. But what you gotta do is, the job that you have that you don't like, you gotta, you know, stay with that job until you can find another. I mean, keep your job of, you know, grocery bagging, digging ditches. Hang on to that job and meet all the, you know, fulfillments until you can, like, you know, find a new job. Some people will be like, shit, I hate this job, I quit, without even bothering to, you know, have them another job to, you know, to go to. And then they're left without a job at all. And then no source of money. So how can they put food on the table? I mean, that can get right next to, you know, being impossible. So that's one thing you need to do to, you know, get on with your life, is have you a job no matter what. And I do realize that, you know, some of you have a disability, and you're drawing disability because, I mean, you have some kind of physical problem where you can't work. I mean, that's perfectly okay, and I mean, I don't hold that against you at all, especially, I mean, if you're honest with what you're doing. But if you're physically able to work, you definitely should do so. And another part of getting on with your life is you need to know how to manage your money. Manage money wisely. Like, let's say you're on disability. You get a check for like $1,000 a month, maybe a little bit more, but yet you're have a bad habit of smoking cigarettes, and you smoke like maybe 3 to 4 packs of cigarettes a day, and you keep on, you know, going in debt because I mean, you have a bad habit of smoking cigarettes, and all the money you should be using for food and using for, you know, bills, most of it is going in, you know, the packs of cigarettes instead, because you have such a bad habit smoking. Gotta learn to discipline yourself. Learn to, you know, cut back to, you know, a half a pack of cigarettes a day. I do not smoke. I vape instead of smoke, but I'm just providing an example. So, I mean, if you're on disability, smoking all the time, it may be necessary to, you know, discipline yourself, get professional help, and maybe cut down to, you know, a half a pack a day, to where you'll have more money to, you know, have food on the table. And you may be one of these guys who flips hamburgers at McDonald's for minimum wage. And because you're only making minimum wage, I mean, that puts a handicap on you and, you know, paying all them big bills per month. And, wait a minute, it will come back. As I said, I'm not experienced with giving a speech. It will come back. But anyway, let's say this guy, you know, who's flipping hamburgers for minimum wage, drinks a case of beer a night, 2 cases of beer. I mean, all the money is going to the beer instead of what it really should be going to is, you know, groceries, bills. I mean, yes, I do know you gotta get out there and have fun. I mean, I don't have anything against you for, you know, using some of your money. Get out there, have fun, and have a good time, but you gotta learn to ration out your money. You got to think, I mean, well, maybe I'll cut back to maybe 2 or 3 beers a night. I mean, I don't drink beer. Again, I'm just providing an example. But, I mean, guy A flipping burgers for poor pay, but yet he's like, you know, drinking 2 cases of beer a night or smoking 5 packs of cigarettes a day. You gotta learn to ration back on your, you know, bad habits. Discipline yourself so you'll have, be able to, you know, have the money you need to, you know, get them bills out of your head. And another thing about, you know, managing your money has to do with, like, you know, everything you spend your money on, you gotta make sure, I mean, it's actually making a difference. Like, for instance, I mean, I have, some people will, like, you know, replace some of their appliances that still work great, still are up to optimal performance, but they are bored with the appearance of the appliances, and therefore they'll be like, hell, I just want to throw, you know, that away and buy me a new one that's more appealing. Like, for instance, some people may have a ceiling fan from the 1980s that still runs great, still keeps that room comfy, nothing wrong with it. But, hell, I mean, Jane Doe does not like the appearance of the fan, so she is like, I'm having that fan taken down, and I'm having you know what, a prettier fan put up. And I mean, to me, I mean, that's throwing money away, replacing a ceiling fan that works perfectly fine. The fan may be old, but it still runs just fine. You should not replace anything that still works just fine. I mean, I understand it. Let's say if you have a 1980s television and you want to upgrade to a much newer 50-inch flat screen. That's one thing. Or if you have a computer from the early 2000s that is slow, I mean, I can see you, wanting to get like, an updated computer, one from current day to where you'll have max performance, get on all the sites you want to get on, that you want to get on. I mean, in a timeful manner. That's one thing. But simply replacing your appliance because you don't like the looks of it, like, yeah, your stove is 15 years old, has that old look to it, and you're like, still works just fine, and you're like, hell, I'm gonna just replace the stove anyway. I mean, for the instances I just talked about, I mean, replacing your appliance is just fine, but if it's something other than a computer or a TV, you should use your appliances up to their maximum life, and whenever they die, that's when you need to buy, a new something. I mean, if you can learn to manage your money and learn, to have the fun you want as a result, trust me, you will be a lot happier. And another idea that comes to mind when I think of this, making out this long video, is, I mean, I've been guilty of feeling sorry for myself. I've seen other people out there feeling sorry for themselves. But let me point this out. Feeling sorry for yourself will eventually turn people against you. You think, if I feel sorry for myself enough, that will, make people, want to, push 100% to get me out of this very tight spot. No, that's not so. You need to learn to get on with your life without feeling sorry for yourself. Feeling sorry for yourself will eventually turn people against you. And let me provide some examples. I mean, I've known a lot of people in this life. I mean, a lot of the guys I've known, their ultimate goal is to have a girlfriend. Yeah, have a girlfriend. I mean, and getting a girlfriend or a boyfriend, can be, have a different impact of influence on, everybody. It can impact everybody different. But, I mean, that's... And whenever a guy can't get a girlfriend, then that can lead to a lot of tension, a lot of frustration. So let me continue on with my next example. And my point that, feeling sorry for yourself will eventually turn people against you. I'm going to throw out some names as an example only. Let's say that you have two friends, Joe and John. Hold up a few minutes. Alright, I just took a break to turn on my fan in the background because I'm, getting kind of hot standing here doing all this talking. So I just hope y'all can, hear me over the fan I have going to my side. But let's get right back to it. Okay, you got two friends here, Joe and John. Joe has a girlfriend, a very pretty girlfriend that he loves. She's on his mind 24/7. And I mean, they're dating every night. And boy, John is, happy with his girlfriend. He's upbeat about her all the time because she's so very sweet. But, correction, I meant to say Joe. Joe, he has his girlfriend and is upbeat all the time. But you have John here, who doesn't have a girlfriend. There could be many reasons why John doesn't have a girlfriend. Could be he's had girls be mean to him and ridicule, to where his self-esteem is very low. Or John may, be too bashful to ask a girl out. He sees a girl he has a crush on, but is so bashful he doesn't have enough, backbone to ask her out. So anyway, I mean, those kind of feelings make, John feel so low. But let's say, for instance, Joe and John, get together one Saturday to go fishing, and then Joe asked John, so, hey, John, do you have a girlfriend yet? And John's, answer to that is, no, I don't. I am butt-ass ugly. I cannot, do anything right for the life of me. I'm just a failure. I will never be able to get a girlfriend no matter what because I'm a butt-ass ugly failure. And then Joe's response to John is, Joe, that is not true. You look just fine. You are a normal human being. You just gotta have enough backbone to go up to the girl you like, get to know her, and then ask her out. And then John's reply is, you're wrong. I'm a butt-ass ugly. Ain't no girl gonna like me. I'm just doomed. I'm a failure. I'll never be able to, get me a girlfriend no matter what. And then Joe responds, Joe responds again and says, John, that's silly. That is not true at all. You gotta, not feel sorry for yourself. You gotta get out there, be friendly, and meet new people. And then John replies once more, I'm a failure. I'm butt ass ugly. Ain't no girl gonna want me. Then eventually John may think, well, maybe that will push Joe to, up to, help him. Make a very hard effort to help him. But, that's not so. John feeling sorry for himself constantly is going to make Joe be like, I've given you advice, more than once. And you do not, have enough man in you to, take my advice. And Joe is going to be like, hell with it. If, if John is going to just, feel sorry for himself like that constantly, Joe's going to put his nose up at John and be like, hell, my advice, ain't working for him. All John is doing is self-pitying himself. It ain't working, so I give up. Which goes back to the example, feeling sorry for yourself will eventually turn people against you. Let me provide an extended example. Let's say, let me get a few vapes. A bad habit, I know. Now let's touch back to base. Okay, you got John again, feeling sorry for himself because he does not have a girlfriend like his friend Joe, who has a girlfriend that he loves with all his heart and is happy 24/7. Then John is like, still feeling so sorry for himself, and decides that he'll walk around school in front of other girls with a real depressed look on his face. And he'll think to himself, well, if I look like I'm depressed, if I'm walking around looking like I'm so down, maybe all the girls will notice and will come up to me and say, hey there, guy, what's your name? And then answers John, and the girl goes, hey John, how are you doing? I like, see that you could really use a friend. And I think you would make a good friend for me. And come on, John, smile, look happy, you look so down. What can I do to make you feel better? I mean, John is going around with a depressed look on his face. Whether it be at whether if it's high school, whether it's college, or whether it's a basketball game where, pretty girls are abundant. John thinks, well, if I go around with a sad look on my face, that, I'm extremely depressed, and I have the look of self-pity that will make girls feel sorry for me and will motivate them to come up to me and, speak to me for once. But let me ask you, do you think that John, with his, a self-pity and depressed look everywhere he goes, do you think that will actually, motivate a girl to come out of the blue sky and just talk to him so very sweet? The answer to that is no. No, it will not. Absolutely not. John going around feeling the look of sorrow, self-pity, looking so sad and depressed will actually turn girls against him. Will actually make girls think that guy over there is freaky. And she'll tell all her other friends, ooh, that guy over there is freaky. I don't want near him. I mean, and John and a lot of other guys, I mean, just the fact that they go around looking so depressed all the time, looking so turned off. I mean, whenever girls knows that, that will turn them against you. That'll make them not want to talk to you at all. That'll just give them the impression, ooh, that guy over there is freaky, stay away from him. Granted, I've seen that happen before, and it could, happen, many times again if you don't know the proper way of nurturing your emotions, your appearance. I mean, gotta learn to reframe your thoughts. In other words, John has to learn to reframe his thoughts if he wants to, find him a girlfriend. That means he's gonna have to man up. Go up to Susie over here, beautiful Susie, and introduce himself and say, hello, how are you doing? My name is John. What's your name? And then she answers Susie. And then John's like, hey Susie, what brings you here this evening? Are you having a lot of fun tonight? I sure am. And then she replies, oh yeah, I'm having, a really good time. And then, and then they, John, thinks of other ways to, gradually, carry on a conversation comfortably. And that will, like, then John will be a lot better off having some backbone, being able to introduce himself and start a conversation with a girl he's interested, rather than, feeling, self-pity all the time. And, let me provide one more example of how feeling sorry for yourself is not good. It is a turn-off. Let's say, for instance, you got Jason over here who just got fired from his job. Got fired from his job because, he didn't fill all the requirements here and there. And then, like, Jason goes up to his a friend, David, and says, "David, I just got fired from my job. I'm a total failure. Since I just got fired from my current job, that means I'll never be able to, carry on a job successfully. I'm just, a complete failure. I am so depressed, I can't concentrate." And then David will give Jason advice and say, "Jason, that is not so. All you need to do is, you need to, go out there and put, in some applications and submit a resume. Every place that's hiring, you need to submit a resume and fill out their applications." And then Jason responds like, "That ain't gonna work. Ain't nobody gonna hire me. I'm a complete failure. I cannot do anything right. I've never been able to do anything right." And Jason just keeps repeating that over and over again, even though David is trying to give him advice on what he needs to do to find another job. Eventually, Jason, feeling sorry for himself all that much, is going to make David say, "Hell with it. I've done told Jason 2 or 3 times what he needs to do, and he won't listen." And that very fact right there makes, Jason a loser. And I don't know if I want to, have, Jason, as, my friend, because he will not do anything to better himself. Feeling sorry for yourself will turn people against you. And, okay, let me, I'm trying to conjure up more ideas here. We all go through hard times in our life. That's, part of, being human, is you are gonna, have roadblocks to where you actually want to go, and will have to make an alternate detour. It might not be an easy detour, but you still gotta make the detour and be creative with, making the a detour. And it's frustrating that, we want to get by with life, but we got all these problems pounding down on us. So anyway, the next thing that comes to mind is, It's good to know you having problems. There's still people out there that care for you and will be willing to, lend a little effort to help you. But in order for other people to, help you, you gotta help yourself. In order for other people to help you, you gotta help yourself. I mean, let's say for instance, to conjure up an example, I have a friend. I don't really have a friend named Steve, but I'll just use Steve as another example name. I got Steve coming up to me all down, extremely depressed, can't concentrate on anything because he's depressed, 24/7, can't keep his house clean because motivated to do absolutely nothing at all because he's depressed. Depressed because the girl of his dreams just jilted him. I mean, Steve had this hot model looking girlfriend. She treated him good for months at a time, and they got by through life. And that Steve saw, Jane as the love of his life, the girl he's gonna settle in with and marry. And they were out there, spending every single weekend together, every single weekday. They were just a happy couple. But one day, Jane says to Steve, I don't want you anymore. I met somebody else. Our relationship is done. And then as a result, Steve is so very depressed. Can't focus because he's depressed, 24/7. And I may say to Steve, hey Steve, just because your last Jane jilted you does not mean it's the end of this world. It sucks. And I know how bad it makes you feel, but it's not the end of the world because your girlfriend just jilted you. I mean, what you can do is, there'll be other, girls out there that are, seem nice, and you just, gotta go up to them and ask them out, and maybe, eventually can find you something else. And I know that you're all depressed. And I recommend that you go to a, psychologist to talk it out with him, tell him your frustrations, and listen to the advice of your psychologist, and maybe Steve will go up to a few of his other guy friends and ask for, and tell them, how depressed he is on how the girl of his dreams just jilted him. And the other friends may say, just because your girlfriend jilted you does not mean it's the end of the world. You will have the opportunity to, meet other people. You just got to be brave enough to go up to them and gradually indulge in a conversation. And if you're depressed, so depressed you can't carry on, you need to, see a psychologist. So anyway, Steve has to be willing to help himself with the advice that I gave him and all his other friends gave him, which is, learn to not be bashful, ask other women out, and go to a psychologist to get advice on what he needs to do for his depression. So Steve has to be willing to help himself to carry on the advice that was just given to him by me and all of his other friends. And also he has to be willing to get to that psychologist, listen to what his psychologist has to say, and take the advice from his, psychologist all the way from point A to point F in the exact order. Because if Steve is not willing to take advice from, his friends and other people, in other words, being able to, help himself, Steve's not going to get anywhere in this world. He's just going to find himself depressed and miserable all 24/7, like it's been said 1,000 times. Alright, the topic on helping yourself. Let me provide another scenario. Let's say I got a friend named Chris. Chris has a wife, and they just had a baby. Yeah, their baby, Little John. So anyway, okay, let me provide another scenario of helping yourself. Let's say, okay, I have a friend named Chris. Well, I'm using Chris as an example name only again. Let's say that, Chris has a wife, and they just had a baby. They have a baby named, let's say, Max. And Chris does not have him a job. Has not, made much effort to find a job. And is unable to support baby Max very well because he doesn't have a job. And then Chris comes up to me with frustrations and says, I have a wife, I have a baby. It's hell supporting them because I don't have a job. It's miserable. I can't, put groceries in the cupboard for my wife and my baby because I don't have a job. Then I'll say, hey Chris, the Jiffy down the road is now accepting applications. Why don't you go apply there? Or Chris, Plant A in Vonore is also taking applications. Why don't you go put in an application there and submit your resume? And Chris tells other people his frustrations on how he can't support his wife and baby because he doesn't have a job. And they say, hey, Chris, There are 3 plants. Taking a hiring. And why don't you go, submit your resume and fill out an application. And there's also another job open. They're hiring for a computer specialist down the road. Why don't you go, submit your resume and put in your application there. Chris has to be willing to take all the advice that was given to him and go out to the places that are hiring and submit his resume and fill out their application. He has got to put his friends' advice into action and use that to help himself. If Chris is unwilling to not carry on the advice, Chris is going to continue to be very unhappy and miserable 24/7. Say it one last time. In order for other people to help you, you have to help yourself. Another big frustration of life is some of us have disabilities. We all have dreams in life. Maybe being able to fly an airplane, play the piano, or we may have a dream of becoming a rocket scientist, or maybe a heart surgeon, you name it. But I mean, we have some kind of disability that keeps us from achieving our dream. Let's say, for instance, if George over here, he has a dream of being a piano player. He wants to, be successful at playing the piano. But, lo and behold, George has, a bad car accident. And as a result, he has to have his hand amputated. And as another result, because George now has only one hand, he finds that, whenever he takes his piano lessons, that he can't play the piano very well because he has only one hand. And then George is miserable because he can't achieve his dream because he has a disability that has just gotten in the way of his dream of being a professional piano player. Let me tell you something, that does not make it the end of the world for George. What George has to be willing to do is, find something else, as a hobby. And appreciate the fact that he has the ability, to do other fun things. George may not be able to play the piano, but he may find that, he's might take, classes on computers and find out that he's a computer whiz and be happy with working on computers for a living. Or maybe even like, painting portraits. Of course, maybe hard to paint a portrait with only one hand, but if he puts his mind to it and and that he really wants to be an artist and draw, like, portraits, and he may find that he, has the ability to do that. And he can learn to be happy to do them things rather than play the piano. I mean, there's been frustrations in my life too. I have a mild case of cerebral palsy. And, having cerebral palsy, it hasn't, always been fun. I found roadblocks here and there. One thing I had the dream of doing is flying an airplane. I wanted to be able to fly like a bird. Always wanted to since I was a kid, so back about 6 years ago, I decided to take flying lessons at the local airport, flying a Cessna 172. And then if you go to fly an airplane, you'll learn very quick. You can't just seat yourself in the airplane and then take off and fly like a bird. Flying an airplane takes a lot of skill. You gotta be able to, maneuver the airplane, skillfully wherever you, take it. You got to learn to be, taxi the runway. Well, you got to do all your, checklists, taxi up to the runway, take off. You got to be able to have knowledge of the instruments of the airplane so you can get to where you're going. And plus, you got to be able to land the airplane. Once you're done, flying, you got to be able to come back down to the ground and land the airplane. Landing the airplane itself takes a lot of skills. You got to have everything timed just right. You got to be able to, know the correct time, know how to, do the loop to the runway. Gotta know how to keep your speed intact, the proper speed, and lower them flaps at the correct time. It ain't easy. That takes a lot of skills. Flying an airplane can be hard simply for the fact that your feet aren't on the ground. It ain't like playing basketball, pool, what have you, because your feet is not on the ground like it would be if you were playing a game of pool or basketball. So anyway, to make a long story short, flying an airplane did not work out for me. For some time, I was depressed over it. I was like, I always wanted to fly, and turns out that, I can't fly. Everything's just a complete failure. It's not a complete failure. You just gotta learn to, find something else for a hobby. Like, I've found that, I really like to, take videos. I currently have about 226 videos on my YouTube account. I learned to, I chose taking videos as a hobby. I do it a lot. I found myself, happy with that. I have two very loving dogs that I love with all my heart. I like, have a lot of fun with them. I take them on walks, take them on car rides, have them do some tricks. I have a lot of fun with doing that. And I appreciate the fact that, I have a job. I give my job 100% every day at work. I do the best I can with whatever I can do. So sometimes, you may have a disability that interferes with you achieving your dream. It ain't the end of the world because you can't achieve, a certain dream because you have a disability. You just gotta learn to find something else and appreciate that something else that you can do. And to be honest with you, I've learned to appreciate everything that I'm doing, even though I'm not flying an airplane. And I find myself, a lot happier. Another thing I'll emphasize is relationships. Boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, and wife. To be honest with you, I'm not really the best help in that, criteria. It being I've never really had a girlfriend. I've never been married. But however, I do see a lot of people that have trouble with relationships. So let me go ahead and touch base some there. What you gotta understand about, having a girlfriend, vice versa, or a wife, and vice versa, is ain't no relationship perfect. You will experience, you may love your, partner with all your heart. You may have a lot of fun with your partner. Interacting them every day. Showing them how much you love them. You may have a relationship, that's really worthwhile. But unfortunately, you will, neither one of you perfect, and unfortunately, even though you're having, a lot of happiness, you will have, arguments. You will have disagreements. Ain't no boyfriend, girlfriend relationship or husband and wife relationship perfect. You will have arguments, whether you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, and wife. You will have arguments, you will have disagreements. It's what you call life. Let's say, for instance, we got Jenny and Brad, who Brad has dated, Jenny for 3 months now. They're all very extremely happy. And Brad is so happy. He is conned into, marrying Jenny. He is conned to, buying that ring, doing his proposal and say, will you marry me? Even though he's only known her for 3 months, and here Brad and Jenny are such a very, happy couple. They shoot the shit, they joke around. Brad always treats Jenny to her favorite restaurant every week, and they just laugh and cut up in the restaurant. And they have fun, taking their dogs on mountain walks, what have you. They're just one happy couple. But as the relationship goes along, I mean, it feels so much like they're ready to be married. But Brad has, let's say Brad has some kind of addiction. Let's say he likes to go out and gamble once a week, and uses and gets so addicted that he uses up his whole paycheck with gambling, or just uses up all of his money on, let's say, another vice here or there. He has all these vices, and Jenny discovers that Brad's vices are causing her a lot of frustrations, and frustrations to the point where they actually get into some big arguments, hollering and cussing at each other because John blows his money on vices. That kind of provides a scenario that, some people can get along together whenever it comes to interacting, shooting the shit, and what have you. But whenever it comes to the nitty-gritty of actually dealing with each other's problems, whether it would be John gambling, or Jenny running up the phone bill every month, talking to her long distance lady friend in Africa. Whenever it comes to actually dealing with each other's problems, that's whenever the relationship gets off track, causes a lot of frustrations for each partner. And okay, Brad and Jenny have known each other for 3 months. Before Jenny knew that Brad was a gambler. And they love each other so much that Brad proposes. Him and Jenny are married a week later. Then it comes down to the nitty-gritty of each other's vices being carried out. And let's say Brad and Jenny have a baby together, and that baby turns out to be, kind of frustrating. The baby cries all the time. Neither of the two can sleep because the baby is crying all the time and pouting and hitting each parent with, his fist, what have you. And Brad and Jenny are frustrated over the baby's behavior, and anyway, Brad is like, I'm gonna swat the baby, I've had enough. And Jenny's like, no, you will not swat that baby. He is our precious boy, and you will respect him. And they keep having mixed feelings over their child. As they go through their years, I mean, the child keeps misbehaving, and then whenever the child enters school, he doesn't do well with his homework, makes straight F's. And then Brad and Jenny, like, are fighting all the time because they can't figure out how to control their child. And Brad has ideas of how, to control that child, but Jenny disagrees with Brad's perspective and says, no, this is how we need to deal with our child. And they disagree with each other's checklist on curbing their child's behavior. And Brad still has all these vices. He's blowing money on the side. So that kind of provides an example of some people make really good friends together. A man and a woman can make very good friends together. I mean, they can, shoot the shit, take mountain walks. I mean, like I just mentioned, they can, maybe go to the bar and enjoy, playing a game of pool together. They may have fun in that manner. The relationship may be meaningful in that manner, but whenever it comes to the nitty-gritty of dealing with actual problems, that's when push can come to shove, like dealing with financial problems, problems with a child's behavior, both the partners' frustrations, clinging together. That can lead to a lot of, chaos. I mean, some couples just don't jive whenever it comes to dealing with actual problems. I mean, each relationship has to establish a level of maturity. They need to sit down in the living room and talk out their problems and maybe come up with a plan on fixing what's wrong and being civil and learning to stay with the nitty-gritty. Plan A is what we need to do to, deal with these frustrations. Plan B is what we need to deal with these other frustrations. Gotta learn to be mature when it comes to dealing with actual problems. Sometimes in a relationship, you gotta, in certain areas, learn to agree to disagree. Let's say, for instance, here's Brad and Jenny all married with their, child, and Jenny likes Brad at the supper table, every single night, and they want to eat as a family, but on Wednesdays at the same time of dinner, Brad, has all of his co-workers and they all get together and go to the bowling alley and shoot the shit with bowling. And Jenny does not like Brad doing that because that takes away, from, him being, with the family at dinner time. But maybe Jenny can still tell herself, well, I don't like it when Brad does that, like, you know, goes out bowling whenever he should be here with me and my kid eating, but I mean, maybe I can still accept that. And or like, you know, Brad may not like, you know, that, you know, Jenny likes to, you know, do a lot of shopping. Maybe she likes to blow $100, you know, a weekend on clothes from Belk's. She likes to shop at Belk's, and Brad hates shopping. And but I mean, maybe Brad can still come to the conclusion maybe I should, you know, agree to disagree. Yeah, I mean, I don't like, you know, Jenny going to Belk's every weekend. I hate shopping for clothes, and I would rather us to do something together that I like to do, other than, you know, her shopping spending, you know, several hours, you know, doing some, you know, Saturday shopping at Belk's. Maybe Brad can get to the point where I may not like that about Jenny, but, you know, I can, you know, learn to agree to disagree and accept that. So in a relationship, some of the maturity is learning to agree to disagree. And I mean, I've never been in a relationship. I'm not the best kind of help in that area, but I mean, I'm trying to do the best I can with, you know, my advice on what I know. And yes, every relationship will have their share of arguments. I mean, you may be in a good relationship, a good, happy relationship, but you are still gonna have arguments. I mean, you will still have times where you and your partner will raise your voice at one another because you two disagree, but so maturity accepting the fact that, you know, no relationship out there is perfect, and you will have an argument here and there, you know, during, you know, the whole course of your relationship, because that's a part of life. I mean, that's what you call life right there. And also you will have to learn to agree to disagree in, you know, certain areas. But I mean, it is okay for each partner to, you know, have a few frustrations about each other here and there, but let's say, for instance, I mean, Brad finds that, you know, he's dated Jenny for 3 years now, and most of their marriage has been fighting, hollering, and cussing at each other. I mean, and Brad is unhappy and miserable because him and Jenny can't learn to agree to disagree. And Brad finds himself unhappy and frustrated 24/7 because, I mean, all him and Jenny do is fight all the time. Whenever you find you're more unhappy than what it's worth, you've tried to work everything out through the years, but you're still miserably unhappy. Or even if you have a girlfriend, vice versa, that you've dated for, like, you know, 6 months now, and you find yourself, you know, fighting all the time to where it's making you miserable. If you're unhappy more than what it's worth, that's when it's probably time to draw the line and say, hey, this relationship isn't working out. It's probably time to end it. It's not worth me being unhappy 24/7 like I am. So, I mean, if a partner finds himself more unhappy than, I repeat myself a lot, I know, but if you're miserable more than what it's worth, that's when you need to put your foot down and say, I mean, this, style of living ain't worth it anymore. It's time for me to put my foot down and break off the relationship. Whether it be, jail the girlfriend, vice versa, or divorce the wife, vice versa. So, if you're more unhappy than what it's worth, then, I mean, may not be worth carrying on. I mean, all of us, from day one, I mean, a lot of guys' goals from, day one is to, have a girlfriend. They, really want them a girlfriend, and want to pursue it to the fullest, to get them that girlfriend, and vice versa. Yeah, but I mean, let's say for instance, I mean, Rick, has, Rick over here has had all these girlfriends, and none of them have worked out. I mean, they all ended up either dumping him for another guy, or they were all the time fighting more than what it's worth. And so, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Rick has to realize, yeah, I mean, a lot of times a girlfriend won't work out. All you gotta do is, find another girl. And if that girl doesn't work out, I mean, just, keep giving shots at other folks until you do find somebody that, clicks. And, a lot of people's perspective is I absolutely have to have a girlfriend get on with my life, or I absolutely have to have a wife, to get on with my life. And folks, let me tell you, I mean, if you do meet somebody and you find that you click and you're happy, I encourage you to pursue that to the fullest. Pursue it to keep the relationship on track. But, I mean, if you're a single and, I mean, nobody has worked out yet, I mean, one of the ideas is you cannot get the mindset of I have to have a girlfriend, I have to have a boyfriend, I have to have a husband, I have to, have a wife. No matter what, you cannot think that way. You gotta learn to be happy being single, as well as being happy having a girlfriend or a boyfriend. You gotta learn to be just as happy being single as you are if, you have a partner. I mean, I've had several experiences. I mean, 12 years ago, I attended a singles group out of town, and I met a lot of excuse me. I met a lot of women there. Of course, had discussions. I mean, we had classes on relationships, how to make relationships work out, and I talked with some of the women there and everything, and it was kind of like, the woman that I was interested in, wasn't interested in me back, and kind of vice versa. Of course, and I didn't agree with, to make a long story short, there were a lot of things I didn't agree with about the singles group that I attended, so I just dropped out, and I also did some online, dating, many years ago. I had me a profile up, and they had instant chat for, if there was a woman available online, we could chat, but a lot of them chats, it's like I would talk to a girl for, maybe about 4 days or so, and it just, the girl acted like she wanted to be nice to me, and wanted to, maybe, give a little thought on pursuing a relationship, but it got to where that every girl I talked to, it turned out I never heard from again, and plus, I learned that online dating is really not a good idea, because there's a lot of people that lie on their profile, like you could have a big 400-pound Bertha, big fat Bertha with pimples all over her face, set up a profile, and then find a photo of a beautiful blonde girl and put that photo up on her profile and say, hey, this is me right there, yeah. Make it like that, beautiful blonde girl pic is, actually her. When, and other guys will think, oh, what a pretty woman, what a beautiful woman, I want to pursue a relationship, which really behind closed doors is just big 400-pound fat Bertha. Or, there's also sick people out there, like guys, that will put up photos of girls and say that's them, and with all the dishonesty going on in that area, I quit, doing online dating, years ago, and I'm because at the time I was really wanting a girlfriend, but I'm at the point where I have this mindset set here of, if I ever happen to meet a woman and we click, I will pursue that to the fullest. But if I'm single, from here on out, and if I stay single for the rest of my life, I'm entirely, happy with that, too. It seemed for a while not being able to find a girlfriend was so very discouraging, but I've learned to weigh things out. I've learned to, tell myself, hey, I can learn to be happy being single. I'm not trying to discourage, any of you from having a relationship happening, but I've learned that, by being single, I can like do anything I want any old time outside of work. I can go to Applebee's at the bar, have me a drink, have me dinner anytime I want to. I can take my dogs to the mountains anytime I want to. I mean, I can go out of town anytime I want to, and I'm my only boss. I mean, everything that I do is decided by me. I mean, I can stay home, watch TV. I'm my own boss. I mean, I have freedom that way simply because I can do anything anytime that I want to. I find that the big advantage about, being single is being able to do anything anytime I wanted to, and which I like to, interact with my dogs, take my dogs on walks all the time. And let's say, for instance, if I had a girlfriend, I would not be able to do everything I wanted to, all the time, because I would have to put everything in alignment with what my girlfriend wanted to do. And my girlfriend may have a lot of interests here and there that I may find boring, but I still have to agree and do it. I mean, to make the relationship work out. But I mean, it being single, I don't have that problem, so I've learned how to, make being single be a positive state of mind by, considering the advantage of it, instead of like being miserable Sammy, feeling sorry for myself. Oh, I don't have a girlfriend, I'm just worthless. No. That's not the mindset I all have. I mean, I've learned to be, happy, weighing out the advantages of being happy being single. And one other thing I'll touch base on is it's important that you take, all these ideas in perspective and not try to hurry on a relationship, because I'm 39 years old. And I know a lot of people that have been married 3 or 4 times already, because maybe because they hurried on a relationship or wanted to dive in real quick. You gotta learn to take your time with a relationship, and you can't force it to happen, you just gotta let it happen. You just gotta sit back and let it happen, instead of forcing yourself to find a girlfriend or boyfriend. Because forcing yourself to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend and forcing yourself to have a relationship does not work. You just gotta let it happen. Look at me. I need to shave. I'm getting very overgrown. Well, I would really want to proceed with the video, so therefore shaving will have to happen afterwards. Anyway, let's get to the next one. Gonna kind of use a saying from, an old friend that goes, do not look at, everything through shit-tinted glass windows. That's a famous saying a friend told me once. In other words, let's say you're gonna be trained on a new job, and you have a thought bearing down on your mind when you go for the new job, And then that thought says, I have a disability, so therefore I don't think I can do this job. Or, I mean, all these negative thoughts bearing down on you, telling yourself, I don't think I can do this job, and it keeps repeating, I have a disability, I don't think I can do this job. Well, let me tell you something. If you keep pondering about, oh, I have a disability, I don't think I can do this job, you know what's going to happen? You're not going to be, you may very well not be successful at your new job, because you have these thoughts interfering, with the path that you need to take. You have all these emotions that keep telling you, no, I can't do this. And if you keep thinking that way, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're not going to be able to do that new job. Because, you have, all these emotions bearing down on you. And it's probably, affecting you physically as well. Or let's say you're a pool player, only like maybe semi-experienced at shooting pool. And you're interested in meeting a buddy of yours at, a pub with pool tables. And then, right before the game of pool, you, habitually think to yourself, I'm not gonna do good at this game, I have a disability. I'm not gonna do good at this game because this reason, that reason, the list goes on and on. Them emotions again are going to weigh down on you and maybe affect you somewhat physically as well as mentally. That's kind of what I mean by don't look at everything through shit-tinted glass windows. If you're gonna, start like a new job, maybe something you've never done before, you gotta keep telling yourself, maybe I can do this job. Maybe I can do this job. Repeat that in your head instead of all them other negative thoughts. Maybe I can do this job, and I'm going to give this job 100% no matter what. No matter what, anybody tells you, if somebody speaks negative to you and tells you, oh, you can't do that, ignore them. Go upon your own instinct and, shut that person out of your head and go about the job on your own. Keep telling yourself, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do this. And, playing pool before the game, tell yourself, maybe I can do this, and keep thinking, maybe I can do this, because you'll have a much better outcome, I would say, if you go in with a positive attitude, thinking maybe you can do this, rather than, oh, I can't do this task, I can't do this game because, oh, well, I have a disability, all my friends tell me I can't do this, you got all them feelings weighing down on you, then you won't be able to do it. So, gotta be more positive and think maybe, maybe, maybe. Now I'm gonna touch on kind of, a wide topic, which includes staying away from troublesome people. Let me give you an example of my own experience. I mean, I've had several friends in the past and that were users. I'm not going to, use my past friend's real name on, YouTube. So therefore, I'm going to, pick out a name instead. Okay, the first friend, I'm going to call him Brian. Okay, Brian is this guy on disability. He is truly a chain smoker. He smoked a cigarette every time I was around him. Maybe up to, 4 to 6 packs a day, a real heavy smoke. And Brian is also a dipper. He would put a big glob of dip right in his lip, smoke a cigarette, and but anyway, at the time I was a smoker too. I used to smoke little cigars. Nowadays, I just vape instead of smoke. Okay, me and Brian, met at this, venue in town, and we hit it off as a friendship, and then Brian invited me up to his apartment. So I agreed and went up to his apartment. So anyway, Brian for a while seemed like an ideal friend. He would smoke his cigarettes with the dip. I would smoke my, little cigars, sometimes even big cigars right there in his apartment. His apartment got so smoky to where the, smoke alarm went off because we were really smoking the apartment out. We were in the living room enjoying our smokes. Every time I went there. Plus, he had, Cinemax TV, which I liked. At the time, I didn't have TV service, so it was fun for me to go to Brian's apartment and watch a good movie, smoke my cigars, and let him smoke, and us just shoot the shit and have a good old time. So anyway, it went good for a while, and me and Brian would go out of town to our favorite restaurant. And back in them days, this has now been 11 years ago. Back in them days, they allowed smoking, inside the bar area of some restaurants. So, me and Brian would go to the restaurant. We would order us some good food. He got his favorite entree. I got my favorite entree. We would just eat, smoke, have our smokes, have a good old time. But as time went along, Brian would got to where he would run out of money. His disability only covered so much, and And as a result, most of Brian's money went to, his cigarettes and tobacco, since he's such a heavy smoker. So it got to the point where Brian started asking me to borrow money. And I mean, the first few times I agreed, and I was like, sure, Brian. And Brian was like, I'll pay you back for it. So anyway, I mean, I lent him the money, and he would, buy the cigarettes he needed, I mean, what have you. And then, it just got excessive. It got to where he was asking me for money every time I saw him. I mean, he did tell me he would pay me back, which he always did, but as soon as he paid me back, he would ask for more money again. Then, pay me back when he got his check, and then immediately ask for more money. So anyway, it got to the point where I had to, put my hand up and say, Brian, I can't, would, be glad to continue to help you, but, I have expenses of my own. I mean, it's hard for me to meet budget as well. And then, every time I told Brian I couldn't afford to help him out, he would get mad at me and bless me out. Like one time, he was, fixing me a dinner in his apartment. Came up with the dinner plate, holding the dinner plate, and then Aunt said, Sammy, could you, give me some money? I need more cigarettes. And I told Brian, I would, but, my expenses are tight too, and I really, can't afford it this week. And then Brian, pulled my dinner away and said, get out of my apartment. Get the fuck out of my apartment. And then slammed his door on my way out. And other times Brian would leave me a hate voicemail saying, Sammy, the way you did me today, I don't want to see you. I don't want to, smell you. I don't want to see any sign of you again. Of course, he would always apologize afterwards, and it kept on repeating. I mean, he kept on asking me for money. Then he would bless me out every time, I had to say no. So I broke off the friendship. And Brian also has a friend of a friend named Jake. Sometimes when I would go visit Brian, Jake would be there in the apartment. And Brian was so habitually asking me for money that, Jake started asking me for money all the time too. And I ran into Jake not too long ago, and he asked me, could you let me eat some money so I can buy me a meal? And I just had to say, no. I, only, have enough money to spend on myself. Sorry, I can't help you there. Then he was like all mad because, I wasn't willing to, help him out. There are times when you gotta list yourself as your #1 priority. Consider managing yourself first. And then, whenever you have friends that are using you, you gotta put your foot down and say no. and possibly considering ending their friendship, which I, did just that. I ended, the friendship because I could not take being used. Of course, I've had other friends that would ask me for money every time I saw them. I just had to say, hey, I can't help you anymore. I mean, I don't have enough money to spend on my own groceries. And then, all them friendships got ended by me because I couldn't tolerate being used constantly. People are using you. Probably need to, end the friendship. A friendship should be about friend A thinking the world of you, liking you as a person, spending time with you because they like you. And friend B should feel the same way, liking you, thinking you're a wonderful person, thinking you as kind of like family, thinking you as a quality human being and wanting to spend time with you because of that. Not because they want to mooch off you. I've even had guys that I don't know try and, use me. Like, for instance, you can be walking in a downtown area somewhere. You got all these rednecks, and I've been told before, hey sir, I just got out of jail. I have no car, I have no friends. Could you please give me a ride around town? Then my response would be no. I can't do it. I don't have time. Or I would get asked, hey sir, could you give me a ride to the Jiffy so I can meet my wife? And I would say, then again, that happened me not too long ago. I put my foot down and I said no. I'm in a hurry. I don't have time to. And let me tell you, mooching is not the answer to getting on with your life. I've known a lot of people that are moochers, and mooching is not the way to get on with your life. There's a saying that I came up with that goes, moochers are losers. Let me repeat that again. Moochers are losers. It's what you call developing some common sense and getting you a job. Use the time you're mooching to go around town and put in applications, get you a job. I would say one of the best other ways to get on in your life is stay away from troublesome people. I may be walking around town, see all these a few redneck guys talking heavy about politics, telling girl jokes to one another, cussing real loud when they're telling them jokes about girls, telling them jokes, ranting on about politics. For a while I knew some people like that, and I thought, yeah, I would converse back and go with the girl jokes, go with the politics, go listen to the rants of everyday life, but it's like they kept on ranting in my face and ranting and talking about politics, bitching about politics heavy to me, or talking about issues they have with other people. Joe Blow A's a loser, Joe Blow 2's a loser, talking negative, on and on. And for a while I tolerated it. Then I decided to stay away from them kind of people. I mean, them redneck, trashy talking people, because I found out it was not healthy for me to be involved with, you know, people that cause trouble. I've learned that the best thing to do for people that will cause you trouble is whenever you're walking by them, just put your nose up at them. And keep your nose up until you walk past them. Because I found I'm a lot healthier now that I stay away from people that cause trouble. I mean, my friends, if I have a friendship with somebody, I make sure that it's a clean person, you know, conveys a meaningful conversation that makes sense, who doesn't raise their voice and talk trash. I like my friends to, be clean people, carry on, meaningful conversations, be concerned about, me, and not all these, trouble-causing people who just rant on about politics, cuss all the time, tell girl jokes. Them ain't the kind of people I want as friends. I want my friends to be clean people and carry on conversations that make sense. And that care about you, and that is not gonna shove their rants right in your face. I like my friendships to stay clean, and that helps my mind stay healthier. Nowadays, if I see anybody that's trouble, I just put my nose up at them, walk by until I pass them. And there are other instances where you need to put your foot down and say no. Let's say we got, let me pull up a few names randomly here. Let's say we have, married couple, Eric and Sandy. And Eric and Sandy, have a kid. They like to, spend time as a family on a week basis. Yeah, but Eric has his friend Johnny, who's let's say a fishing buddy. And Johnny and Eric get together at least once a month to go fishing, because they're good friends. But let's say, if there comes a time whenever, Johnny invites Eric to go fishing with him on Saturday, but yet, it's his son's birthday, and him and Sandy want to, throw a birthday party for their son. Eric may have to tell Johnny, hey, sorry, I can't do it. My son has his birthday Saturday, and we're throwing a party. Then Johnny may respond saying, what's the matter? You don't like me anymore? You're gonna stand up with me on our, every, every, few weeks a month of us fishing? You're gonna stand up your old fishing buddy? And Eric's gonna have to say, hey, just have to say again, hey, I told you, I'm sorry. I can't do it. It's my son's birthday. And then, Johnny may get, continue to get mad at Eric for not wanting to go fishing with him. Even though there may be a possibility that Johnny may get mad at Eric for not being able to fish with him that Saturday. I mean, Eric has to, keep his backbone strong enough to say, no, sorry, I can't do it Saturday. And if Johnny decides he doesn't want to be friends with Eric anymore, Johnny needs to learn to live with that. I mean, there comes a time when, you have to say no. Or you may have a friend who is a security guard for a concert, and he needs some volunteer help for, the concert, and he will ask maybe Paul over here, hey, why don't you come, help me volunteer at the concert for this weekend? And so anyway, and Paul may be like, I would, but, I'm swamped with homework from college, and I got a test Monday, and I got to spend this weekend studying, and old Joe Blow at the, concert says, oh, you're just going to bail out on me. I see what good you are. You still got to say no, even though your friend may get mad at you for saying no. That's one of my points, and if they can't accept no as an answer, occasionally, then they probably shouldn't be your friend, and you should break the friendship off. Friendship is about understanding, not like somebody and spending time with somebody. When they have the time to do it, when they have the available space, not like shoving friendship in one's face and forcing somebody to do something for you. That's not the friendship. You gotta understand that your friend needs time with his family, needs time to, work overtime at his job. You gotta be understanding of your friend, not just making your friend feel pity. Because there are gonna be times that they, can't spend with you. Okay, audience, to be honest with you, there are actually a few other things I would like to talk about that have to do with getting on your life. But, you know what? This video is way long enough already. I don't, have time to elaborate much further. So I'm going to conclude this video with owning a pet. I believe it's one of the best therapies out there is owning you a pet. Whether it's a dog, a cat, or if you have enough land in the country, maybe even a horse, maybe a few cows, what have you. I believe that owning a pet is, very good therapy because dogs or horses will, care about you and love you no matter what, love you no matter on the understanding, as long as you're nice to them back. As long as you're nice to your dog, your cat, your horse, and respect them to the fullest, they'll respect you right back. And they'll love you no matter what. It doesn't matter if, person A over here thinks you're a loser asshole, or person B just, thinks, You ain't worth a dime. You ain't worth a hill of beans. I mean, people will turn on you. But animals will love you no matter what, as long as you're, nice to them back. You gotta understand some things about owning a pet, though. Gotta understand that takes maturity. It takes planning. I mean, I'm gonna go first with the planning. First of all, let's say you want to get you a dog. You don't have a dog and you really want a dog. Number one, you gotta figure out first, will your expenses allow for you to have a dog? Because your dog, I mean, unless you live way out in the country, I mean, if you live in town, you're gonna be required, I mean, or you should, fence your yard to get, and have the fenced in yard, big enough so your dog can have plenty of space to run around. I mean, that's what you gotta look at. You gotta make sure you have the money to provide that fence that they need. And plus, you got to take into consideration that your dog will, require, visits to the vet with, for distemper parvo shots, rabies shots, heartworm treatment. Your dog will require, his vaccinations in order to, stay healthy and live life to the fullest. So therefore, you got to ration out your expenses again. Will I have enough money to, treat my dog at the vet? And also, I mean, I know some things can happen with your dog that's out of your control. Like, I mean, for instance, I mean, your dog may have chased a car in the yard and, accidentally stepped in a hole and broke his leg. Of course, you will need money to, take your dog to the vet and get that leg fixed, but if it's like $1,000 and I mean you can't afford to pay it all up front, I mean, what you should do is talk to the vet and maybe you could allot the bill out, pay $200 a month, maybe $300 a month, instead of paying that whole $1,000 a month and finally getting yourself in debt. So anyway, yeah, we all get close to our dogs, our horses, our cat. I mean, I don't own a cat. I mean, I'm just throwing in a cat as an example. I mean, some of us get to where we love our dogs, including me. And we love them so much that they're like people to us. They're like, they're family. They mean the world. I mean, they love us, we love them. And it makes that seem like, dogs are so much one of us. I mean, dogs have feelings, they have emotions like any other animal. They will care about you no matter what, but you gotta understand something. Well, let me say first that, dogs can be trained to do a lot of things. They can be trained to do tricks. They can be trained to play a game of ball with you. They can be trained to put up their toys once they're done training, but you gotta understand, you know, that dogs or other animals do not have the brain power as a human. So therefore, you gotta learn to be mature. You gotta learn to, you know, be patient. Maybe take a little, you'll have to spend a little extra time with your dog, maybe even more time than you would like a kid, because I mean, dogs, like, you know, require, you know, more training of what you want them to do, because they don't, you know, have the brain power as a human. And nowadays, anything you want your dog to do, all you have to do is go on YouTube. You'll find lots of dog tutorials, or there's also dog trainers around town and stuff like that. And I think PetSmart, like, you know, has, you know, dog training classes, which, I mean, I know that would cost some money, but there's a lot of sources out there that you can use to get your dog, you know, trained to do as you like. And another thing about, let me throw an example. I mean, that dogs do not have the brain powers we do. I mean, let's say you have a new puppy, and that, you know, puppy, you know, defecates on your house floor. I mean, you should not automatically, you know, pick up the puppy, take him to, you know, the scene and give him a spanking. That's not the way to, you know, go. What you ought to do is pick up the puppy, take him to the accident scene, and put his nose close to the accident, and say, no, no. And then, like, you know, take him outside, put him on the grass so he'll know the correct place to, you know, use the bathroom. And it's a good idea. I mean, a new puppy, you probably should crate them at, you know, night, so therefore, I mean, they don't, you know, defecate all through your house. And because puppies, I mean, dogs, I mean, you may want to start out with kind of a small crate. I mean, just enough to where the dog can move around itself, but not have a whole huge space, because, I mean, that helps make it to where, you know, the dog won't, you know, may not have an accident in the crate, because dogs instinctually don't like to use the bathroom where, you know, they sleep at. I mean, they don't want to sleep on their mess, so they'll try, you know, harder to not defecate in the same area that they're sleeping. And if your dog continues to have accidents in your house, you probably should, you know, go to a YouTube tutorial and, you know, find out, you know, what's next, you know, on providing your further training for, you know, housebreaking your dog. And I recommend, you know, fenced in yards, a fenced in area that's large enough so the dog will have ample space. I do not believe in tying dogs, and I do not believe in keeping a dog in a kennel. I mean, I can maybe, like, you know, tying your dog, or, you know, or maybe getting a kennel for him. That might be a temporary solution. Let's say, I mean, you're relocating to a new house, and you want to take your dog with you, but yet that new house doesn't have a fenced-in yard. Maybe a good idea to, you know, maybe borrow a kennel from your friend, if you know of a friend that has a kennel that he's not using. Like, put the kennel in your yard and keep the dog in your kennel while you're at work. or maybe even at night, you know, so, you know, well, if the dog is a puppy, so he won't, you know, defecate all over your house. And use the kennel as only a temporary solution until you can actually get your yard fenced. And once you get your yard fenced, I mean, discontinue the use of the kennel. I do not recommend, you know, a kennel or tying your dog, you know, as a permanent solution, because keeping your dog in a little kennel, tying your dog, is kind of like shutting your child in your room and leaving them, you know, in the room 24/7. How many of you have kids that would like to, you know, be locked in their room 24/7? There's probably not anybody out there that says yes. I mean, that's tying a dog permanently or leaving them in a kennel permanently. I mean, it's like shutting a kid in, keeping your kid shut in his room all the time, or, you know, keeping your kid locked in a jail cell. I mean, it's just unfair. So anyway, I wasn't able to elaborate on everything that I wanted to, but I just hope I threw out, you know, several ideas to where, you know, you can take into perspective and hopefully use my ideas to help you get on with your life. Yeah, remember, it's always very important that you take ideas into perspective, put them to good use, and get on with your life. I hope this video was educational. Have a good day.